Welcome to what is happening today with Crowning Thoughts. Santiago D.C. Maria Truth Speaker.
Let us talk plainly, because pretending not to see what is right in front of us is a luxury we no longer have. Here we are, watching a man point his finger at the president of Venezuela and accuse him of the very behaviors he openly performs himself. Not whispers, not theories, his own words. His own actions. Then, with a straight face, he claims Maduro is copying his dance. That is not satire, that is not parody, that is reality unfolding in real time. If irony had a resume, it would be fully employed by now. Let me be clear, no one who is truly awake is being brainwashed. The spell only works on those who refuse to open their eyes. Awareness is the antidote. Once you see the patterns, the theatrics stop being impressive and start looking desperate. This is not leadership, this is performance. Loud, repetitive, and empty. And let us address the bigger picture, because this is not about one man's ego. This is about a system that pretends to serve the people while feeding on them. A system that talks about freedom while tightening its grip. A system that waves flags and slogans while quietly prioritizing control, profit, and ownership over human lives. This system was never designed for the people or the country. It was designed to manage, to extract, and to dominate. Control is the objective. Bloodshed is collateral. Ownership is the prize, and yes, I said it. Sacrifice is not an accident here. It is built into the architecture. When policies harm, when divisions deepen, when suffering becomes normalized, that is not incompetence. That is strategy. The people become expendable when power is the priority. What we are dealing with in America right now is not subtle. It is not hidden. It is happening in broad daylight, right in our faces. Cold decisions made without empathy. Calculated moves made without remorse. You can see it in the lack of emotion, the absence of accountability, the casual dismissal of human cost. Call it darkness. Call it evil. Call it what it is. When humanity is removed from leadership, the result is always the same. And history has shown us this lesson repeatedly. For those willing to study instead of worship, this is not fear-mongering. This is observation. This is pattern recognition. This is saying out loud what many think quietly and are afraid to voice. I am not here to comfort illusions. I am here to crown thoughts with truth, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you are awake, the noise loses its power. Trump's Venezuela blitz, is it oil, justice, or a desperate dodge from Epstein's dark secrets in a stunning escalation that has the world watching? President Donald Trump announced the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro on January 3, 2026, following a large-scale U.S. military strike on Caracas. The operation, which involved disabling Venezuela's air defense systems and plunging parts of the capital into darkness, marks a bold move in U.S. foreign policy. Trump described it as a victory against drugs, terrorism, and illegal migration, claiming Maduro's regime funneled deadly fentanyl and violent criminals into America. But as details emerge, questions swirl. Is this about national security, seizing oil reserves, or diverting attention from mounting scandals at home, including the slow-drip release of Jeffrey Epstein's files? The strikes came fast and furious. U.S. forces launched what Trump called a precision operation that knocked out power in southern Caracas and targeted Maduro's hideouts. By dawn, Maduro was in U.S. custody, en route to face federal charges in New York for narcoterrorism and drug trafficking indictments dating back to 2020. Trump took full credit, stating in a White House address that America would run Venezuela until a stable transition. He emphasized oil as a key factor, telling reporters the U.S. would secure Venezuela's vast reserves to prevent them from falling into hostile hands. Sources confirm at least 40 to 80 people died in the strikes, including Venezuelan military personnel and possibly civilians, though the Pentagon insists collateral damage was minimized. This isn't Trump's first tango with Venezuela. During his first term, he imposed crippling sanctions and recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as interim president. Now, in his second stint, the action feels amplified. Trump warned of potential follow-up strikes if Maduro's allies resist, and he floated military options against neighbors like Colombia and Cuba if they harbor remnants of the regime. Critics point to this as classic Trump bravado, a mix of showmanship and strategy. Supporters hail it as long overdue justice against a dictator whose policies displaced millions and fueled U.S. border chaos. But dig deeper, and the timing raises eyebrows. Just days before the Venezuela op, the Department of Justice admitted it's released less than 1% of over 2 million Epstein-related documents. Congress mandated full disclosure by December 19, 2025, via the Epstein Files Transparency Act, but only about 125,000 pages are out. DOJ officials cite the massive volume and need for redactions to protect victims and ongoing probes. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blasted the delays as unacceptable, accusing the administration of foot-dragging. The files stem from Epstein's sex trafficking empire, which ensnared powerful figures in a web of abuse and exploitation. Trump's ties to Epstein aren't new. The two were social acquaintances in the 1990s and early 2000s, with Trump once calling Epstein a terrific guy who liked beautiful women. On the younger side, flight logs show Trump flew on Epstein's jet at least once, though he claims no wrongdoing and banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after a dispute. Newly released emails and tapes from 2025 paint a more intricate picture. Author Michael Wolff's recordings have Epstein boasting about being Trump's closest friend and alleging salacious details about Trump's personal life, including claims he first met Melania Noss through Epstein's circles. Melania's team has aggressively denied any improper links, threatening lawsuits over false and defamatory stories. In March 2025, First Lady Melania Trump made her first public remarks of the term, spotlighting victims of deepfake revenge porn AI-generated explicit images. She backed the Take IT Down Act, which Trump signed in May 2025, criminalizing non-consensual intimate imagery, including deepfakes. The law requires platforms to remove such content swiftly. Trump warned during the signing that predators use AI to exploit people, urging Americans to distrust manipulated photos. This came amid rumors of compromising images involving the Trumps, which the White House dismissed as hoaxes. Some speculate these warnings preempted Epstein file revelations, where documents reportedly reference Melania's name in connection to Epstein's modeling network ties. Epstein's files have already exposed names like Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Alan Dershowitz, but redactions hide many more. A November 2025 PBS report on Epstein's emails mentions his references to Trump, though details remain sealed. Biographer Michael Wolff hinted in July 2025 interviews that Melania's Epstein connections run deeper than acknowledged, prompting swift denials from her camp. Trump himself pushed for transparency during his 2024 campaign, vowing to release everything on Epstein. Yet under his watch, the Dodge's slow pace fuels accusations of protectionism. Analysts see Venezuela as a classic distraction tactic. Foreign policy experts note Trump's history of pivoting to international crises during domestic heat. In 2025, as Epstein's scrutiny intensified, Trump ramped up rhetoric on border security and foreign threats. A Politico piece from July 2025 detailed how Trump lamented Epstein coverage overshadowing his achievements, turning to distraction mode. Similarly, a foreign policy article highlighted shifts in Trump's stance from isolationism to intervention as betrayals of his base, possibly to bury scandals. The human cost can't be ignored. Trump's policies have hammered everyday Americans. Tariffs sparked inflation spikes, hitting low-income families hardest with higher grocery and gas prices. Cuts to Medicaid and Social Security proposals threaten the elderly and disabled. Middle-class tax breaks from his first term expired, while corporate rates stayed low. Air strikes in Venezuela add to a growing list. Somalia, February 2025. Iraq, March. Yemen, March-May. Iran, June. Caribbean operations, September ongoing. Syria, December, and Nigeria, Christmas Day 2025. Each justified as counterterrorism, but critics tally civilian casualties and question the strategy. Congress and courts share blame, per observers. Bipartisan support for the Epstein Act fizzled into delays, with some lawmakers accused of shielding donors. The Supreme Court upheld broad executive powers in foreign affairs, enabling strikes without full congressional approval. A rigged system. Evidence points to gridlock. Divided Congress stalled oversight while courts deferred to the executive on national security. Demands for accountability grow. Advocacy groups call for immediate Epstein releases and investigations into Trump's ties. Protests in D.C. and online petitions urge removal of complicit officials from DOJ heads to congressional enablers. Blood on their hands. Chant demonstrators, citing civilian harms from policies and strikes. Trump's approval hovers around 45%, buoyed by economic gains like record stock markets, but eroded by scandals. This isn't about innocence or guilt. Facts demand scrutiny. Trump denies Epstein involvement, pointing to his administration's prosecutions of sex traffickers. But delays breed suspicion. Venezuela's oil grab, the country holds the world's largest reserves, could stabilize U.S. energy, but at what price? Maduro's capture ends a tyrant's rule, yet unilateral action risks alliances. America deserves answers. Why the Epstein holdup? Are warnings about AI photos a smokescreen? Congress must enforce transparency. Courts uphold justice. Remove those blocking truth. Demand consequences. The system isn't broken beyond repair, but silence enables abuse. Trump's moves are bold, no doubt. Venezuela op showcases military might, potentially curbing migration and drugs. Yet distractions from core issues, economic inequality, healthcare gaps, Epstein truths undermine trust. Real leadership faces facts head-on, not through diversions. As 2026 unfolds, watch closely. More strikes, fuller file releases. The story's far from over. Follow so we can stay connected. Your support matters more than you know, and I appreciate every moment you give to listen. Your support is important to me, and it helps me a lot. It keeps me active, bringing you important information with your support and comments, likes and shares. Feel free to like, support, and subscribe. I will always provide content for you. I appreciate every support you give. Crowning Thoughts, True Speaker, copyright 2025 by Santiago D.C. Maria, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution. I love you all and I appreciate each of you. Stay blessed. Thank you for listening. Love always. Santiago D.C. Maria.
Thank you for listening to Santiago DC.